Hi, I'm Ben, I'm one half of KB Race Team, and today I'm going on one of my last little training rides before we go to Andorra for the Andorra Epic in about a week's time. Going to be getting in just a little bit of last minute bike setup and a little bit of intensity training around the Forest of Dean. Thought it'd be a good chance just to show you a few things that have changed and a few things we're getting ready for a week's time. So first off, we've got the custom kit. So we've got ourselves, KB Race Team, sponsored by Hardline Brewery, projected image, and in support of Macmillan Cancer Support. We're really excited to have a few people on board for that. We will explain a little bit more about those sponsors, maybe as I go around the ride today, why they're involved and why we're supporting Macmillan. I'm also going to have a chance to show you the bike setup of what we're going to be using for Andorra. So I'm on a Specialized S-Works, which is here. I'll get you some close-ups as we go around it, but basically it's a normal sort of XCO bike with a few adaptations to make it suitable for marathon. With Andorra Epic, I'll put some stuff up on the screen in a second, but you've basically got 40 to 50k stages over 4 days. So that's what, 30 miles up to 9,000 foot of climb a day. So it's quite intense. It's going to be alpine climbing and some really tough descending as well. So it's not just about the climb, but it's about keeping focused for the way back down. And the bike will need to be slightly different for that, just in terms of on-bike storage and some of the setup. So we can get into that in a second. The S-Works I'm running is very similar to Carl's Kona Hey Hey really. They're both 120mm travel bikes. They're running full RockShox Flight Attendant, fork and shock with a power meter. We're running twin water bottles. We've got dropper seat posts. We've got kind of lightly treaded but large volume tyres. So I've gone with the Maxxis Recon Race 2.4 up front with the Aspen 2.4 wide trail rear. Hopefully that works to be a good combo. We've both got second sets of wheels coming with us as well with slightly meatier tyres. So if that combo is not enough for the conditions out there, we can judge that and obviously sort that out. We've got a bit of extra on-bike storage as well. So we've got a top tube storage bag from Top Peak. It's like a triathlon sight box, lets you take kind of some gels and some snacks in the top. There will be feed stops we can stop at, so we'll be able to refuel some of that. But there's also a little seat pack as well, which is containing like some more CO2 equipment, some tools, chain links, a couple of useful little spares that are going to keep us going. But apart from that, it's a pretty normal XC bike. We're going to get into a bit of riding today, so just making sure that bike's dialed, because I literally built this one up 2 days ago, having had a little problem with what I was going to use. So yeah, we'll get into that with the training. We'll explain what's going on with our sponsors and why we've got those on board, and just talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen with the event. Right, so before we get too far into it, who are we? Right, I'm Ben, I live near Hereford. Carl lives up in Scotland near Aberdeen. He's the second half of KB Racing. He's on his way down here this weekend and we're going to get ourselves over to Andorra. So we've got a huge drive down through the Pyrenees to go and do the 4-day stage race that it is. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good test of our fitness. We've both been working super hard, especially since kind of December, January when we decided we were going to do this. I'm feeling absolutely physically prime. Carl is feeling great too. I'm really excited for my first foreign stage race. Carl did the Andalusia bike race, which was like another thing of a similar format. That was a really good learning curve, so he's given us a bit of insight into what we're going to need to do to kind of do well at this. Just to get it clear, we're probably not expecting to do particularly well at this. We're not looking for a top ranking place, and we're going into it completely as a kind of clubman level. Just looking forward to having fun together on bikes and biting off like a bigger sort of challenge than we have done before in terms of a race of that sort of intensity and distance. So it's going to be fun, but it's going to be a really good springboard for us to see what we can achieve in that sort of environment. Okay, next up, it's well worth introducing our sponsors, because we have had some support to get out to Andorra. So we've got obviously we're KB Race Team, we've got Projected Image Limited. They're an events company from Hampshire. I used to do live events as a production tech, and they took me on, and I used to do a lot of work for them in like high-end corporate, some outdoor production, a real mix. Lovely group of people, really good company. I've done some amazing work with them before. Laura, who's now taken the reins of the company, has supported us with this event, so check them out. I'll put a link on the screen. But absolutely fantastic people to do work with, and yeah, I've done high-end corporate for them in like all over the country, into Europe as well, so they can do everything. They're great. We've also got Hardline Brewery, so that's my friend Andrew, his brainchild of doing a athlete-friendly type of beer. So he's got a really good flavoursome range of super low-calorie beers. They taste great. They're not going to mess up your training. If you do want to have a few beers, Andrew was kind enough to come down, bring us some crates to our recent training camp in Wales. We got to ride with him for a bit. Really nice guy. The brewery is based in Windsor. You can order online. It's hardlinebrewery.com. Yeah, so the final name on the jersey is Macmillan Cancer Support. Obviously it comes with a fair bit of sadness for why most people are going to add something like that onto their jersey. So obviously Projected Image are sponsoring us here, and the guy that used to run that, Steve McNamara, I'd class him as a friend and someone that he employed me to do a lot of work for that company. Unfortunately, he passed from cancer, which was obviously very sad. Macmillan Cancer Support, as his family tells me, gave them loads of support, and that they did a fundraiser at his funeral to try and raise some money for them. When I approached Projected Image saying, would you like to be involved with what we're doing in Andorra, his daughter Laura is now looking after the company, and she was well up for helping us out along our way to Andorra. But we would really appreciate it if people wanted to kind of support us by supporting Macmillan. So there's going to be a link up on the screen in a second, and on any YouTube social media videos that we do, with a way that you can donate to them. Really appreciate it if you did, even if it's like a £5. That's fantastic. If you want to donate in a slightly different way, Macmillan have got a really nice online store where they do all sorts of gifts. They do cycle jerseys. They do like a Rafa Macmillan cycle jersey, which is actually really nice. I just got one of those myself. It's a nice way of putting some money in their pot, and also you've got kind of a memento of what you've done with that. So they've got like really nice beanies and hats and socks and all sorts of things like that. So there's multiple ways to donate to Macmillan. Really appreciate it if you did. We're obviously going to plug that a little bit as we go around, but yeah, we'll get in some really nice riding, bit of training around the Forest of Dean, get some laps in, and just try and dial this shiny new bike in, so that it's feeling really good, ready for a week's time. There's a couple of other bike setup things that I haven't actually covered when I looked over it earlier in the car park. So I've had a problem with my right thumb and it dislocating and not being fully healed. So I don't have anything under the right hand side of my bar. Instead I've got a dropper and a shifter on the left hand side. I've had a few months to get used to that, so that's working absolutely fine. Another thing I've done is put blips on the handlebar, typically used for road and time trial bikes. I can literally shift gear if I'm in a tuck position in the middle, so I can go down a gear like that or upper gear on that side, so if I'm getting into a bit of an aero tuck on a gravel section, then I can still shift gear, which is really cool. You can just install them anywhere on a bike. They wirelessly connect to SRAM access, so that's something I've really liked. Obviously, bar tape that intersection, so it's comfortable and grippy for the hands. So really pleased with that. Another bit of research from Carl while he was in Andalusia was that really, unless you're at the sharp end of the stick of the race at the front, where you're not getting held up by other people in the pack, you probably want a smaller chainring than normal. So I normally run a 34. I've put on for the race a 32. He reckons that basically on a 34 he was getting held up by kind of back markers or people falling off on technical bits of climbs, and you're pretty much unable to get started again. So being able to sit and spin a lower gear is much better than pushing. So I might normally run a 34, maybe even a 36 for some events, 38 if it was gravel, but in this instance I've gone with a 32 ring just so I can spin out a bit more because we've got so much climbing to do. So so a really important part of dialing the bike in, have your little multi-tool with you, have the ability to be able to make small adjustments, like I just need my shock to be a touch slower. There we go. I just want my brake to bite a touch earlier. There we go. All these tiny little things just make your bike so comfortable, so it's well worth breaking the flow on a ride like this and just sort of tuning it. Then I can ride it for a bit, see what that shock's like with just a slightly slower response, and hopefully that just makes me that little bit quicker on a trail or makes it deal with rocks and stuff better. So I've had a few people ask why would you want to do something like the Andorra Epic, especially if you're not going out there like to properly win that, or like is the top end of it achievable? Like no, of course it's not. So what's the point? Simple thing would be that like during COVID, so what's that, 2019, like I was getting back on a bike because I was like living on my own and kind of stuck in, and I had this old bike and I'm like, okay, this would be fun. Started doing like 10-mile bike rides and I was knackered, and then they gradually became 20s and 30s, and then I decided, hey, I'll enter a race. I'm feeling pretty fit. Went to one of the Goric XCO races and had my arse handed to me on a plate. I came second to last, and I think the guy that was behind me might have just crashed out and given up. So I was pretty bad, but I kind of thought maybe I can do okay at this. Then got myself an XC bike, got fitter and fitter, started actually doing quite well by my own standards. So I was like, okay, I can actually do this okay. Like I'm getting better, I'm feeling fit and healthy. My rides were like, oh, I've done a 60-mile ride, that's amazing, cool. Where I'm at now, I pulled 120-mile mountain bike ride. I've entered like Victoria Marathon Champs. I won the 60 or 80k class, something like that, a couple of years ago. So I've kind of meted my own success by like gradually getting better at things. So in some of the Goric XCO races, like I'd come 40th out of 40, or maybe I'd come 30th, then 20th, and I finished it, I think it was by podium, so I think it was second overall for their Winter Warmer season 3 races at the start of this year. So I can really see how I've got better and better. And if you look back to sort of COVID times, there's no way in hell that I would be able to do anything like it. If someone said enter a stage race, it would be laughable. It would be impossible. It wouldn't be any fun. Whereas now it's something I can do and go, okay, they're quite reasonable climbing and descending and distance numbers, but I feel like I should be okay. The main factor is probably going to be the heat and acclimatization, because we just haven't had time to get that in the UK yet. But yeah, I kind of feel like I can actually do it some justice. So for me, entering Andorra Epic is all about seeing if I can do it and how well I can do it. Raise a bit of awareness for Macmillan, and just kind of represent ourselves really and do something good. What happens next? Well, it's currently Wednesday on this little kind of last training effort really before I start to properly pack and get moving. Then on Saturday, Carl comes down to join me in Hereford from Aberdeen. We will load up his vehicle, and then Sunday morning early we're going to get a move on down to Kent, do our crossing over into France, and then start to drive down through there. Kind of late evening, we'll get some accommodation, and then the Monday will be pretty much the best part of Paris down to Andorra through the Pyrenees, and we've got a bit of time to acclimatise. Once we've done that, kind of we get into the racing. I think it starts on Thursday, so a week and a day, and that's that really. I hope you've enjoyed a little update from KB Race Team. Please follow us Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Keep an eye on what we're doing, and please donate to Macmillan Cancer Support. We'd really appreciate it, as would our sponsors. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.